every amount of pain there.
Something big, like a Star Wars or a Marvel.
Wouldn't have been good, but would have been like,
You are at the movies with Ace,
And Martin.
and this is probably one of the weirdest double feature episodes we have ever done. We are going to be covering Bugonia, which is in theaters right now, and also the 90s throwback You've Got Mail. These movies have more things in common than you think, I found out while doing this double feature.
Which one's got the better dinner scene? Which one's got a better, like, candlelit dinner scene? I know my answer.
I mean, both of these movies really show that sometimes you need to get off that laptop and go touch grass in two different ways. But we're going to cover Bugonia first. You actually, in discussing episodes, recommended that we go check this out in theaters. I'm glad you did. This was really interesting. It stars Emma Stone, her third movie, I believe, with the director, right?
With Yorgos Lanthimos, yeah. Poor Things came out, and then they did Kinds of Kindness, and now this movie, all back to back to back. I mean, Emma Stone has done other projects in between.
Oh, I think The Favorite, too. So this is the fourth.
Oh, yeah, and
Yeah.
The Favorite. Yeah. So 4 Yorgos Lanthimos movies in a row starring Emma Stone.
Wow.
And, I mean, I think they're a good match, you know? And she's been doing other projects in between. She's done some weird projects recently. That Nathan Fielder show, The Curse. Mm-hmm. She was in Eddington earlier this year, which is, in a lot of ways, like a companion piece to this movie, I feel. And they were both produced and developed by Ari Aster, which is noteworthy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think it's really, really interesting because this tonally feels so in line with Eddington. We won't get into everything right off the bat, but this feels like one of the most 2020s movies we have gotten yet.
Yeah. It feels like one of those movies where it encapsulates what is going on right now culturally without something like Eddington or other films where it just flat out tells you. It uses what's going on and try to shape it into a narrative that people could, come into and see what's happening culturally with that piece of art. For me, that's always my favorite kind of stuff, and I think this is a movie we could go back on and look at, what were the 2020s like for, I guess, the extreme parts for people, and I think this movie really nails it on the head in a good way of how certain people feel. This movie describes what the comment section of a post feels like. Any kind of post. Like, no matter what. It's a cesspool. It could be a dumb meme about 6'7". You will see crazy stuff in this movie in the comment section.
So the basic plot is Jesse Plemons plays this disenfranchised young man who probably spends way too much time online, who decides to kidnap the CEO of the healthcare company that has put his mom in the hospital and that he works for, who he believes is an androgynon alien, like an alien from another planet.
Yeah.
And he and his cousin Don, played by Aidan Delbus, kidnap her and hold her hostage and try to determine if she's an alien or not, even though, Teddy seems pretty sure that she is. Don doesn't really know anything. And then Emma Stone plays Michelle Fuller, who is this CEO. I like that term.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, she's a billionaire CEO in charge of this giant health company. Yeah, this is a girl boss movie.
On Missing Link back in the day, in circa 2017, I put Emma Stone as my number one actress, modern actress. And I don't know if she's number one for me still, but she's still up there. I will see any movie Emma Stone's in. I grew up with Emma Stone. I remember her in Superbad. I thought she was hilarious in Easy A. Had a crush on her during the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I think Emma Stone's great. This is a wild take off the bat about Emma Stone for me. A lot of people point to Amy Adams being the modern Meryl Streep because of her Oscar nominations and her performance. I think it's kind of Emma Stone.
I don't know. I think Emma Stone's a better actress than Meryl Streep.
That was my next take, and I'm glad we agree because I was like, ooh, do I say that? Because I actually do think Emma Stone is better than Meryl Streep.
I think that Emma Stone is consistently one of those actresses who picks the projects that she wants to do and works with the people that she wants to do. And despite having, 3 Academy Award nominations and 2 wins before the age of 40.
Yeah.
She's one of the most decorated and celebrated actresses.
And she won Best Picture.
It always feels like, yeah, true. She is the only actress to win Best Picture. Can't forget that. But there seems to be this like ego and pride removed from the roles that she does. Like, this is a pretty like thankless role in this movie. She's mostly playing second fiddle to Jesse Plemons and some brand new actor as a hostage in a basement. Like, this is a thriller. This is like a genre movie, and she just full sends it.
They managed to make Emma Stone, who I think is one of the most likable actresses in Hollywood, so unlikable in this movie. And that not only shows how great the direction is in this movie, it shows Emma Stone's incredible range that I think is still somehow underrated. And yeah, going into Jesse Plemons, I think he's awesome in this movie. He totally knocks it out of the park. Without him, this movie does not work at all. For you needed an actor to make you believe that he believes. And I do. Like, he was all like, this character, as you're watching it, is like, this guy is like just so far gone in a way. Like, he is so deep down the rabbit hole. And at first, when the movie started, I'm like, am I going to be distracted that it's Jesse Plemons? Would have this worked better for an unknown actor? But no, I think you need an actor with a lot of range and a lot of depth to pull this off. And I thought he was phenomenal by the end of the movie.
There's something that he does so well in this movie where there's this back and forth. Emma Stone's character, Michelle Fuller, is played as this like by the books CEO, like, she's coded in HR speak. They just got done with this huge PR disaster, and so there's this huge thing with their employees feeling like they have to work overtime and aren't able to leave at 5:30. And like in the opening scene with her, you kind of get this vibe of, she's like, oh well, if people need to leave at 5:30, they should leave at 5:30. But this is a business, so like there's like this weird like telling them they can go and they can leave, but also I expect them to stay is like this like double-handed speak that she uses throughout the whole movie. And there's this really, really great scene where she's like, I just want to have a dialogue with you. Like, what can we do to like fix this? And he's like, I don't want to have a like, he says some of the most insane lines ever with so much assertiveness and so confidently that you believe that this character is truly unhinged. Like, there's nothing you can do to persuade him. You're not going to be able to talk your way out of this confrontation that he has put you in, because he is so adamant that you are an alien. And it's like, I don't know anyone else who could deliver those crazy out there lines as a rebut and it come off as earnest. I think he crushes it. I don't know who else could do this.
Their dialogue is like talking to that, extreme person, that will not change their opinion no matter what. Remind me of a certain friend we know, a guy that loves Jesse Plemons. Shout out to Jory. And but in all seriousness, we've all had conversations with people like that before, where they're not budging. They're not even giving you a little bit. And that's very apparent in the 2020s as well, as the world changes. And I think they nailed it. Like, that conversation between them in the basement is like a YouTube comment section sometimes, where you're talking to a brick wall. Like, you're not budging.
I think that this movie is a damn lock for an adapted screenplay nomination.
Yeah.
I think that the script, I need to look up who it's by, is one of the best of the year. And this is a loose remake of a 2003 South Korean film. Mm-hmm. Will Tracy developed the script and wrote it. Yorgos Lanthimos doesn't have a screenwriting credit, but I'm sure he made some story adjustments. This is the first time he has done a movie with a script that he didn't write, or at least co-write. He didn't develop this movie. It was developed by Ari Aster, and he brought on Emma Stone and Yorgos Lanthimos, and then kind of left the project, from what it sounds like, in the development stages.
Does this movie work better, you think, with Yorgos at the helm and not Ari Aster? I don't think it's as funny if it's Ari Aster.
I don't know about that. I think the last 2 Ari Aster movies have been some of the funniest comedies of the year, if you can look at them through a certain lens. Mm-hmm. I think that both Eddington and Beau is Afraid are really, really funny, dark comedies, and very similar to this. I think if it's directed by Ari Aster, though, it's a lot harder to stomach. I think there's a lot more torture scenes and gore and things that are just more off-putting. I also don't think the ending is as subtle. Meaning like the final montage, which we are going to have to get into spoilers. This is one of those crazy twist movies.
Yeah. To touch on that ending, and we can kind of work our way back. It could be, I was thinking about the ending, and I'm like, it could be very on the nose. When I first saw it, I'm like, I saw it as a very pessimistic ending, where like nothing really matters. Who really cares if this chick was an alien or not? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What did you see by that ending?
Oh, this is one of the most bleak and nihilistic movies of the last, 20 years. I mean, this is... Humanity's lost. And that's kind of the motif of this movie.
I think Emma Stone's character shedding a tear while doing it, though, is pivotal, where people do care. And I think that is the little subtle hope that does kind of get rushed away by humanity dying. But that little tear, I think, is that little, we do care. Even though she went through all that, she still cares. And I think at the end of the day, that's how we feel, too. Most people, I think, feel about humanity, too, is that we still care. We still want what is the best for each other, even when times are tough. At least that's what I got from Emma Stone's character tearing up there.
I don't know. I feel like there is definitely, emotion in it, but I feel like it is a logistical decision that is made by the aliens at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Emma Stone is an alien and Jesse Plemons is right about literally everything the entire movie. Which is crazy.
And he never finds out he is right, as he brings Emma Stone back to the office where they're going to go on the mothership, and he's detached a homemade bomb to his chest, and it malfunctions, he blows up, dies. He never knows if he's right, and that's pretty bleak on its own, too. Is that...
Dude, his head blowing up and flying out of the closet and knocking her in the face is one of the craziest scenes in a movie.
I was about to say, that is one of the most jaw-dropping scenes in a movie I've seen in a long time. At least this, decade.
The build-up to that, too, is because, at this point, you think she's gonna get saved. She's publicly walking through the office, he's got a gun and a bomb strapped to him, and she's like... oh, I just got to enter this code on this calculator thing. And it looks like she's just making up, the numbers that she's entering. The rug pull in that scene is so well done. And it's like she's making it up as she's like, oh, yeah, just stand in that closet over there. And she's, backing up toward the door the whole time. She has no idea his thing's going to explode. She thinks she's actually teleporting him to the mothership, which is just a wild scene.
Once they get to the office, I remember just sitting there and being like, I have no idea how this movie's gonna end. I truly had it could have went so many different ways, and I still was surprised at the outcome. Were you pretty firm on Emma Stone not being an alien? I pretty much was.
I didn't think that her character was an alien. I think her being framed as one by him was a subtle way for these characters to get to the truth of why she's evil and why he thinks that. Especially as the story goes on, she is figuring out kind of the mystery of who he is and why he has this vendetta against her. And he's got a valid one. I mean, his mom was put on some experimental opioid treatment that put her in a coma and she hasn't been able to live. Really weird role for Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah.
She has 2 scenes with dialogue. She's got all these needles sticking out of her in a bathtub. And...
correct me if I'm wrong, isn't she known for alternative, looking for natural stuff and health? I think that's kind of her thing, too.
Maybe.
I could be completely wrong, but I feel like she's one of those, so that's interesting casting by whoever the casting director was and everything. I had no idea it was her until I was listening to a review, and I was like, wait, really? So I can't wait to rewatch it just for that. Yeah, I think...
I thought she was really good. Even the things where they have flashbacks that are in black and white and they're half dreamlike, half flashbacks. They're memories almost. Mm-hmm. I think the way that they handle that. I mean, I feel like those scenes are kind of unnecessary. I think it helps kind of paint Jesse Plemons' character's Teddy's perspective a little bit better. But they don't add anything. The information still gets revealed through dialogue scenes with him and Emma Stone. But I felt like they added a nice visual break, and I thought they looked really cool. This movie was shot in VistaVision, which we're seeing a big resurgence of. I believe Eddington was also shot in VistaVision, And most, the reason it was a cinematography nomination last year was The Brutalist, shooting
Yes.
on these big vintage cameras. They're huge and they're very loud and hard to do dialogue scenes with in general. But that striking wide angle that Yorgos Lanthimos is known for with his films, especially movies like The Favorite and Poor Things, only really makes its appearance on like the exteriors of this film. Like when Jesse Plemons is riding his bike around town, and when he's out at the little bee farm he has and stuff like that. And I like that it has this like, oh, there could be someone like entering frame any moment. Like it's kind of creepy.
Did you know that your boy was showing up in this movie, playing a cop named Casey? Well, I had no idea he was in the movie. When he pulled up, I was like, yo, oh.
Oh, yeah, Stavros Halkias plays a police officer in this movie. I mean, there's literally only like 5 dialogue characters in this film.
Yeah.
So he's like 4th build in this movie, which is crazy.
Funny ass
I mean,
death for him, too.
What a wild stunt cast. Like, I don't know what else.
Yeah.
Like, he's
Who
just
is that
playing
for?
like a... Me? He's playing like a fat police officer who maybe molested Jesse Plemons as a kid when he was his babysitter and wants a slice of coconut cake. That's his entire motivation.
Yeah, at first when they met up, I'm like, oh, are they like old friends? But then he said babysitter. I'm like, what? There's some wild like castings where I get confused with the connections, especially Alicia Silverstone being the mother of Jesse Plemons, because in my head they're like the same age. They actually might be. I don't know.
I think she's about 10 years older than Jesse Plemons. Let's do some half-assed internet research real quick.
49. Alicia Silverstone is, and Jesse Plemons is 37.
Okay, so she's 12 years older. Not
Yeah.
really old enough to be the mom, but yeah, it works.
Yeah, I guess like he's married to Kristen Dunst, right? And Kristen Dunst and Alicia were famous around, like really famous around the same time, so I think that was the connection in my head.
I guess I do like the casting in general. Like I think that all the performances are great. I think the real like secret performance of the whole movie is Aiden Delbus as Donnie, the cousin. They have this kind of it's kind of problematic to say, but they have this almost of mice and men relationship.
I was thinking about that too.
There's even a line that Jesse Plemons has that says like, this isn't a play. Like, we don't need to have a dialogue. He's like, this isn't Grapes of Wrath or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, they're doing the Steinbeck kind of pull. But I thought he was great. The character is definitely neurodivergent and the actor playing him is too. And I think it added a lot to the movie. Because it felt like real. It felt like they had these realistic characters planted in with these big A-list stars in Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons in a way that felt natural. You know, he's kind of following Teddy's lead on everything. He seems to be less certain of the alien narrative and really just kind of confused by everything. Specifically the motives where he loses the battle, I guess, with Emma Stone, with Michelle Fuller's character, is kind of when Teddy tells him, well, we're going to come back to Earth after we save it. It sounds like his belief in this alien thing is he's done with the planet entire. He wants to be on the alien ship and live in space. And that's a really interesting angle for that character to come with.
The Teddy character is so tragic because he wants to save the world. He thinks he's saving the world by doing this. It's not his motives technically are not evil if you look at them on the surface. He thinks he's doing the right thing. It's interesting because the word Bugonia, it's from like an old belief that if you leave a dead cow, I think, out in the field, bees will come from it. It's, something that doesn't exist, an urban legend, and that's essentially what Teddy is believing in here. And I think the use of bees is very smart too, where you could say that society needs a mother bee, and then when there's no mother bee, it's chaos, if that's the route you want to go as well. We're all connected in some way, working the same jobs. He's working at a factory, Amazon-like, big corporation. A lot of people just feel like they're bricks on the walls in something like that. There's a lot to be said there, and there's a lot of depth there.
While he has this kind of anti-giant business that he works for, and one that is poisoned his mother and one of the alien CEO that he has tried to kidnap. He's not a political person. He says
No.
like, oh, I fell down the rabbit hole on Marxism and communism and all that bullshit. I don't care about that. I care about humanity. I care about doing what's right. And the fact that they don't choose to depict him as some sort of like hyper conservative or hyper leftist.
Yeah, they didn't make him a bigot.
Yeah.
That's what I thought they were going.
No, he seems like a genuinely good person that has a severe paranoid angle, and I'm glad that they gave him some humanity. Like in the scenes that he has with like the other factory workers, there's like this, he's friends with all of them. He's unwashed, but you know, he's still friendly. Like,
He brings them honey. That's cool.
yeah,
Like homemade
he
honey.
brings them honey from his bee farm. He seems like a great coworker.
That Teddy character, so much has happened to him, and he still wants to help. That is the crazy part, is that his mother's in this coma. Crazy scene when Michelle convinces him to kill his mother, essentially.
Yeah.
That was another scene where I'm like, I have no idea where this is going. And then it just turned out to be that. Like, that was just brutal.
Yeah, right after Donnie kills himself, Teddy comes back after killing Sheriff Casey and is like, what did you do to my cousin? She's like, I didn't do anything, but I could save your mom. Go into the trunk of my car and get the antifreeze. It's not actually antifreeze, and give it to her. She will be saved. It's crazy.
Without hesitation, he does it. I mean, if you just saw, Don's dead body, I guess you're in a fight or flight mode anyway, and Emma Stone's character was just taking advantage of that. The movie just went 0 to 100 real quick after that, and then it was kind of nonstop after that. The third act in it it's so crazy. It is crazy like an Ari Aster film, but paced way differently. And I think Ari Aster's thing would have been even more brutal.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't an Ari Aster joint. I'm happy that it has his touches of work in there, but I don't think I would have liked this movie nearly as much. I don't think it would be as poignant or something I would recommend to as many people. Once I got out of this theater and I was like texting my friends, I went and saw some in Midtown on my way home, and they were like, "Oh, what'd you see?" And I was like, "Oh, I just saw the new Emma Stone Yorgos Lanthimos movie Bugonia." And they were like, "Oh, is it good? I liked Poor Things, or I liked The Favorite." And I'm like, "It's better than both of those. It's dark and it's like his old stuff."
A lot of like the big Yorgos fans are fearing that his movies are being too accessible. I kind of disagree. I feel like Poor Things is way more accessible than this. I feel like I can't show everyone this movie, where I could probably get away with showing most people Poor Things.
I think that this movie is perfectly accessible. I think that it has like a weird kind of premise and setup, but I think it's a perfect like mid-budget thriller. Like, I feel like my parents would like this movie. It's kind of like one part The Sixth Sense and one part Misery. And these are movies that did well in the 90s, especially on home video. Like, I feel like this movie's going to have some legs to it. Maybe not in the box office, but on streaming and cultural relevancy. Yeah. Film Twitter like broke this weekend with everyone going and seeing this film. And I feel like this movie's going to be kind of culturally significant in a way that maybe it wouldn't be if it wasn't Yorgos Lanthimos behind it. Honestly, I'm kind of mixed. I like his old movies. I like Dogtooth, Lobster. I'd say terms of like tone and presentation, the closest to this one's Killing of a Sacred Deer, which is one that I like a lot as well. But I don't necessarily like his more successful movies in The Favorite and Poor Things. And I mean, I thought Kinds of Kindness was a total misstep.
Yeah, and a lot of people did, I believe.
So this to me is like kind of the best of, he's got the talent that he wants and the budget that he wants, but he's also still got that like kind of twisted sensibility from the background of his other films. I did listen to an interview with him on Bugonia, and I thought it was noteworthy that he read the script for the original movie, Save the Green Planet, which is a South Korean film that this is loosely based off of. It has a lot of differences, but he read the script, then started to develop this one, and then right before they started filming, went and saw that movie and made sure that it didn't have too many similarities. I think there's definitely big enough differences that they're not the same, but it is still like similar enough. But again, I would be surprised if doesn't get an adapted screenplay nomination. I really liked where the story goes, and the twists and turns of it are awesome.
What other Oscar nominations you thinking? Thinking Plemons?
I think Emma Stone gets a nomination for this.
Yeah.
I think she doesn't win because she's won too many damn times, and I don't know if they want to give one actress 3 awards before she's 40.
Yeah.
I think there's a world where Plemons gets a nomination. It depends on how much the leading male category is this year. I really haven't been following along with the Oscar race. I think this has adapted screenplay and actress in a leading role. I could see a Best Picture nomination here. I think it's just relevant enough.
We got 10 slots.
I feel like it's just relevant enough, and I think if this movie has box office legs and people are talking about it, and it's one that's in discussion, I think it has the ability to be a secret contender for Best Picture. I feel like there's some things that are just gonna be in Best Picture regardless if they're good or not, like Wicked 2 and Avatar 3, and so there's a lot of things that are probably just gonna get a spot. But compared to other movies that I have liked a lot this year that are tonally bleak, this one seems the most accessible and Oscar friendly because it is established people who keep getting nominated year after year.
Yeah, I think Sean Penn's the lock for Best Supporting, but I think Plemons could sneak in a nomination.
He would be for lead, though.
Would he be lead?
He has to be. He's the main character of this movie.
I feel like both him and Emma Stone, and it feels like more like an ensemble. I think you could.
There's only 5 characters in this 2-hour movie. Yeah. This is not an ensemble film.
I meant the whole cast is all 3 of them are kind of I don't know. Also, the Oscars are weird with what's a supporting character and what's a leading actor.
That's true.
I have no idea anymore.
Yeah, Chase Infinity's in leading actress category. So
really,
yeah, that's where they're running her at least.
Interesting. Is Sean Penn running supporting?
Yes.
Okay, because I think I will bet money that man will win. I would bet money.
Yeah, and then Leonardo DiCaprio is running for leading male, which I think could be just one spot enough for Jesse Plemons to not get a nomination here. I don't know. I think it's probably the best performance of the year.
Yeah, it's weird because I don't think Leo wins. If it depends how the rest of this Oscar season goes out. There could be a case for Jesse Plemons winning. It's not a strong leading actor year, at least from what I'm looking at for the movies coming out this year and what we've already had this year. You can make an argument for Michael B. Jordan in Sinners. I think he could get a nomination, but I don't think he wins either. We have a lot of ones that I think could win, but there's no definitive ones.
I think this movie totally eliminated any shot of Weapons getting Oscar attention, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think that's just, if Sinners is going to get the fanfare that it deserves, and that I think it will, I think throwing another genre movie in the mix, that is this one, that is so accessible, I don't know, maybe an original screenplay for Weapons. I don't think you're getting any actor nominations there, unfortunately. I'm really bad at speculating the Oscar race before the nominations are there, and then once the nominations are there, I usually get about 18 of 24 correct. Mm-hmm. So, I have a really bad feeling about what's out there right now in terms of what's getting Oscar noms. Yeah. But once the nominations are set, I feel like the dust will settle on stuff I can more obtainably grab. I think the biggest thing too is they keep changing what the Oscar voters need to submit for. Yeah. And now apparently they have to watch everything. Is that what's happening this year?
Yeah, I think so. And we don't get the stunt category till next year, I think.
Okay, cool. So, well, there's not a Mission Impossible movie next year, so...
Tom Cruise has to do something, I guess, in 2027 or 2026.
Days of Thunder 2 is going to be wild. He's actually going to flip an F1 drag car.
I did have one question about the film before we give our final thoughts. When Emma Stone's character discovers kind of the back room with the bodies... So, did Jesse Plemons' character already figure out they were aliens? Because he said 2 of them were. And they kind of glossed over that, and I found that so interesting.
The way I perceived that scene, and maybe I could be wrong, she asked how many of them were Andrononin, or whatever her alien species is.
Yeah.
And he says 2. There's 7 bodies back there. I think the other 5 were also aliens. I think he's actually a competent alien hunter.
It's so interesting.
I think there's multiple alien species there, and he's determined the one that is dangerous.
Do you think Don knew about the other ones, or was this his first time hunting with Teddy?
I don't know. It doesn't sound like that Don has been exposed to the alien hunting at all.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I feel like it would have been really cool if there was like an introduction to Don and when he like chronologically appears in this timeline, because this seems like something that Jesse Plemons has been doing for years. Maybe the same amount of 4 or 5 years that his mom's been in a coma. But even the sheriff Stavi, it still points out like, oh, you still living up there with Don? Like, he knows that he's like, and they come off as characters who haven't had a conversation in years.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the biggest like unanswerable questions about this is how much Don has been in on this up until this point.
Dude's like Batman, like Don goes to bed and then Teddy goes and hunts aliens. Like, it kind of sounds like kind of badass. Like, I want to know more.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this movie again. What did you give this over on Letterboxd?
I gave it 4 stars on Letterboxd. Could go higher on a second watch, but I think 4 stars was fair for a first viewing. And yeah, I think we're gonna talk about this movie again very soon. I think it's gonna hit up both of our top lists.
Yeah, this is very, very likely to be on my year-end top 10. I'm giving it 4.5 for now.
Nice.
One element that we haven't yet discussed that I thought was worth shouting out in my review was the score. I loved how it had this big, like, epic, swelling, kind of bombastic score for the type of movie that it was. That is a great question. We should look that up.
Yeah, I wonder if it was...
Jerskin Fendrix. What else has Jerskin done? Poor Things?
I did like the score in Poor Things.
Kinds of Kindness? Crazy. Yeah, he sounds Greek. So maybe he's just gonna start making music for Yorgos's movies.
I was about to say, this might be like a La La Land Whiplash situation where it's the director and composer combo.
I mean, you gotta respect that Yorgos is using the same talent that he likes working with.
Yeah.
You know, his 5th movie in a row with Emma Stone will probably be not as good as this one, but it's really cool that he's like he's assembling this like team of people to keep making movies with. So him having a composer for 3 movies in a row, you know, movies are a dangerous game and a risk and a financial dice roll. And I think if you can find a formula that works for you, that you can make the type of art you want. It's not like he's making the same movie over and over again.
Yeah.
All of them have been vastly different.
Yeah. Especially, you show somebody Poor Things than this. I don't think they tell you right away, oh, this is the same director.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked that this movie felt a little bit more restrained from a directing standpoint. I thought that, and maybe it was like the format they were shooting on with that really large VistaVision camera. But I felt like the performances had a lot of time and a lot of space to breathe. There weren't these ridiculous fisheye lenses.
Yeah, cinematography-wise, everything was pretty steady, like nothing crazy. Like, I think that's what it needed, though, because you just, as an audience, you just need time to think what is going on. You don't really want to be distracted by anything either.
Yeah, that's true. Alrighty, so we should probably segue over.
I don't even know how to segue. What a wild double feature we did. So this was my recommendation in our little movie club. I just kind of did research, like, what is kind of like the transition movie? What is the movie you watch in between Halloween and Christmas that kind of gives you the fall vibes? And You've Got Mail kept popping up, and I was like, that's a movie I've never seen, and I feel like that could bring on some interesting conversations for us. And then, as we were talking about it, I found out you viewed this movie 3 times this year, in the year of our Lord 25.
Yep. This is my third. I think this is my 3rd time watching it this year. It was last night, watching the Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan rom-com You've Got Mail. The first time I watched it, I think I was like, this is like a perfect, like, oh, I'm staying home from work sick movie for me. Like, it's something you could just have on in the background. It's
oh yeah.
We'll get into it, but it's yeah, I don't know. When I was a sick child and I'd stay home from school, this is one of my mom's favorite movies. So I watched it a lot when I was staying home from school sick. Now as an adult, if I'm like, I don't know what I want to watch, whatever, You've Got Mail, it's right there. Then my girlfriend was like really into this musical called She Loves Me. which is adapted from the same short story as You've Got Mail.
Oh.
And there's like a really nice pro shot available on Amazon on like the Broadway plugin. There's a really nice pro shot of the 2015 staging, same year as Hamilton. And it stars Zachary Levi. So she was really into She Loves Me and was like, oh, we should watch You've Got Mail. I've heard it's just like She Loves Me. And Cameron hated this fucking movie. Loves the Broadway stage play version. And then this week she made me watch She Loves Me, and then I rewatched You've Got Mail. So I think I might be like I think I might be the person who has seen this movie the most amount of times this year, besides my mom.
Yeah, this movie's got a lot of issues. I didn't know really what to expect going in, as same as you, one of my mom's favorites, or at least something she puts on all the time. Walking past the living room, I'd see it on. All I knew going into is that Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks met each other through the You've Got Mail, AOL, instant messaging, but in real life they hate each other, and that's all I knew. And I didn't know the context of it. I didn't know it was kind of a small bookstore versus a Borders type, which I really find funny is that you can't do this now because both of these bookstores would be closed now, which is the funniest thing out of all this. It is so 90s. And Nate, as a New Yorker, this movie, you had the Taxi Driver era of New York City, right, in the 70s, where it's dangerous, it's dirty, you don't want to go there. And then you get into the 80s, the I Love New York movement. It becomes so touristy, and that bleeds into the 90s pretty much all the way up until 2020, I would say. Like, that lasts a while, where at least, like, people try to... New York in media is very, like, touristy. This movie romanticizes New York City so much to a crazy extent, where this girl meets a man off the internet and she finds true love in New York City. There's a lot of interesting things about that on paper.
I think one thing that this movie actually is a good time capsule of specifically, kind of ties into that, like the big tourism boom from the mid to late 80s through pre-COVID, that whole era. There is one like giant spike in that in the late 90s, the Disneyification of Midtown specifically, of Times Square, getting a Disney store, getting a Toys R Us with a Ferris wheel in it. All of that stuff is like a late 90s Giuliani thing. And this movie, I think, depicts Giuliani's New York better than any movie besides Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah.
Which is shot in London.
Yeah, I mean, the Fox and Sons bookstore, like, really represents what Midtown kind of becomes when it comes to its retail, and a lot of these stores were going out of business at the time. Like, it was an interesting thing to depict. That's all outside stuff. Now, the movie itself, when this movie first starts, I'll even give it the first 2 acts. It's cute. If I describe the first 2 acts of the movie, cute. And I get the whole dynamic that they don't like each other in real life. They have 2 different belief systems. One is literally trying to put the other out of business. And I'm like, I wonder how this will end. And then the store goes out of business. And I'm like, well, this movie has to end with her meeting him in the store, and he like bought the place and like is going to reopen it for her or something. No. Bow down to the corporation, fall in love with the corporation essentially, while the guy gaslights you through the whole thing in the third act. I just feel like they had a great concept with this movie and had no idea how to end it. I didn't know it was based on a short story until you mentioned it earlier. That makes a lot of sense, because I think they had no idea how to end a movie like this.
So, the original short story is set in 1930s Hungary, and the characters are both clerks at a like perfume store. Whatever. They perfumes and lotions and creams and stuff like that. The Joe Fox equivalent, the Tom Hanks character in that, is kind of like the lead clerk, and the owner of the company is like going to hand the company off to him when he dies, essentially. Like, that's the vibe. But there's a rift in that relationship and in that friendship right around the time the Kathleen Kelly character comes into the pics, the Meg Ryan character comes into the story, and they have already been in correspondence writing letters to each other before she walks through the door. And she gets a job by going around the Tom Hanks character and asking the owner of the company for a job when he's there. And so there's this conflict, and they don't like each other, and they're working together at the same business. And then he quits his job, and on that same night finds out that she was the one he's been corresponding with the whole time. So then he gets his job back, and there's like the power dynamic, and like him becoming the nice guy after she hates him is like a big plot point. But another thing that's in the short story is it's a much shorter period of time. The short story takes place over the course of like 3 months, and like it's like the beginning of the holiday rush season and like people Christmas shopping to it ends on Christmas Day. The biggest problem with You've Got Mail is that they don't have them in the same store.
No.
And he is he's the character you're supposed to be rooting for to win this woman's heart is like a kind of like not good heir to a giant company that is run by bad people.
He never really gets humbled. He gets talked down to by Kathleen in one scene, and that's it.
Yes, and she's right.
Yeah, and he doesn't change. Like, I don't know what he learns from this. Like, it's there is dialogue in defense of Joe Fox, I guess. There is dialogue in the You Got Mail where he is like, do you ever just bring out the worst of yourself and feel bad instantly after? Like, he does show remorse, but he keeps doing it. And I think that's the issue is he doesn't stop right up until the last scene of the movie. He's like essentially gaslighting her. And I get where if he revealed himself earlier, it would have ended badly. She would have rejected it. She would have felt embarrassed. I understand the idea that he was trying to get her to like him in real life before revealing that he was the You Got Mail guy. It just feels so icky. You're playing around with a clueless woman, quote unquote, until it's revealed at the end. I don't think it's aged the best.
No, not at all. Another thing about this too that is kind of wild and not in the short story that makes these characters and their actions seem worse than what it is in the original source material is they're both like in long-term relationships and like have partners.
Yeah.
Like he's engaged to Parker Posey, who is one of the hottest women of all time. And he's like, "Oh, I'm not satisfied with her cuz she's like greedy capitalist just like me." And it's like, that's who you're supposed to be with. And then Meg Ryan has Greg Kinnear, who is like a slimy like news anchor guy, but like I don't know, like they're at the same dinner parties and stuff like that.
One of my favorite breakups ever. Like it's
a pretty realistic New York breakup. I can't lie.
I was watching that and I was like, wow, that was actually one of the most realistic breakups I've seen in a movie. Like I've had or I've known people who, have relationships that just end. You just realize it's platonic and, shit happens.
Yeah, that part of it feels really realistic, especially since he's got like other interests as well. Like they didn't seem like they were like the most in love relationship.
I like that he wasn't evil either. Like he still was trying to help her too.
And he was still her friend.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, like they are still talking about her meeting Joe and all that kind of stuff. Like that's grounded.
It was funny in this movie where they're constantly running into each other, and I feel like there's a lot of people who think that's unrealistic, but even, hanging around you and other friends in New York, for some reason, in a city of 8 million people, you run into the same, like, dozen people all the time.
Absolutely.
It is very funny.
Yeah, not that long ago, I went to a brewery, and I knew that they had live music on Fridays, and I saw one of my favorite bartenders from another bar in another neighborhood of the city, and he's like, "Oh, dude, my band's about to go on." And I'm like, "All right, guess I'm stuck at this brewery for another 2 hours. Let's go." Completely spontaneous, didn't know that it was going to be... It's New York City is the biggest small town in the world, and I think that that's one of the things that I can give this movie credit to. Especially since all these characters live on the Upper West Side They all live near Columbia University and like that kind of like stretch between there and Columbus Circle.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this Barnes and Noble-esque bookstore being put up there and driving all the small business that's been there forever out is so realistic. It is a perfect time capsule of the late 90s New York.
Were we just better as a society where we had to wait till we get home to get the instant message gratification instead of getting it at all times? Because back then you could like live your life and then you could go in, do that whole messaging now. But now it's like, I could be out and about and then you get a notification from Tinder and it's like, well, I better answer this or they'll think it's ghosting and it's over. Was this just better? Did the 90s just have it right where you could still like do things and not constantly be messaging somebody hoping you still like them or they still like you?
Yes, but dude, the scenes of Meg Ryan typing on her laptop like is just so bad. Like no,
when the instant message comes up and she reacts to it like a jump scare.
Yeah, no, it's cheesy. I don't know. We probably were better off than like, I don't know, Bumble messages back and forth. Like this is, I don't know. That's an unanswerable question. I mean, I feel like to do this right, you gotta have Joe Fox like in his boxers, like one hand in the waistband, like typing on the computer. Or, like, yeah, I don't.
Everyone looks so cozy when they're having those computer scenes. Like Tom Hanks has these like thick furry socks on and this like nice LL Bean sweater and shit. Like nobody's looking like that at home typing on their computer, especially when they're talking to a woman.
When he breaks up with Parker Posey and lives in his houseboat in the middle of winter, and he's in like a submarine room with like scanners and shit like that, and he's like typing on this laptop. It's very unsettling. Yeah. It's very creepy how fixated he is on sending her instant messages still.
But yeah, in the beginning, they have him like playing with his dog, like, oh, like this is cute. And then towards the end, he is coming off like a psycho because he already knows Kathleen is her and is doing this kind of back and forth thing. I don't know.
I'm surprised this works. I mean,
yeah.
One of the scenes in the short story and in all the adaptations of that short story that works really well is when that character goes to her house when she's sick and gives her ice cream in the original one. In this, it's flowers, which if I know someone has a cold, I'm not going to give them flowers.
Especially it's the spring, so the cold is probably from allergies, which comes from pollen. So you're going to bring in daisies. As a guy with asthma, I would probably never talk to that person again.
But that's supposed to be the first scene where she is like, oh, there's a side of this guy that I didn't see before, and I don't buy that in this movie. That she feels differently about him at all.
He comes
before
off
and after.
So weird in that scene.
He bursts into her apartment and she's like, I don't want you here. Leave me alone. You put me out of business. My mom's shop. Me and my mom used to twirl.
That's the thing is like, it's this multimillionaire. I'm sure like they even mentioned that the guy's got an inheritance. He's got some extra money. Buy the shop. It is literally for sale right now. They just put it up. Rent out that place.
Yeah, come on, dude.
If you can't make it a bookshop, make it something else. Who cares?
Dude, Steve Zahn needs a job. Yeah. That's my big takeaway from this movie.
The dad from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Also something that doesn't happen now. 4 people working at a bookstore at the same time with the same hours. No chance that's happening now.
Dave Chappelle in a movie?
Yeah, that. If you're just walking around Midtown and you saw the 2 bookstores, say you just want to chill, grab a coffee, and read a book, which store are you choosing?
You know, I feel like the shop around the corner has a very, very good aesthetic going for young readers. I think if I was babysitting my nephews or something and we were in the neighborhood, I think just like Joe Fox, FOX, I'm taking the kids into the shop around the corner and we're going to sit there and do the princess dress up read aloud. But, you know, if it's just me, I'm going into the big store that probably has Cormac McCarthy novels.
I agree. Like, if it was just me, like, the other store sounds like, there's going to be kids. It's going to be noisy. I'd rather go into the the Borders and listen to Mumford and Sons weirdly on the speaker. Like that sounds like a better vibe. I don't want either vibe, but if I had to choose one,
does the Fox and Sons bookstore, do they have the Criterion sale? Like,
oh, that's true.
Is that going on? Can I get some new movies from the Criterion closet?
I actually had a big connection with my local Borders. Like, we always went there. I could still visualize the kids section. Of course, you think of the Harry Potter books were blowing up when we were growing up, so I think of that on the shelves. My grandfather did a book signing at that Borders. So even though it was a giant corporate thing, something like Borders, I still have connections to it, and I think a lot of people still do. And it's an interesting company to read up on too. And I think Bright Sun Films did a really good video on Borders. I was thinking a lot about that watching this movie, and kind of wish we had more stuff like that still. We need more third places. Every time I watch a 90s movie, I'm like, we have no third places anymore. It's either work or home. Nobody has a third place, unless it's the gym. But the gym's not a hangout. You're there for a purpose still. There's no place where you just go to vibe anymore.
That being said, I did spend my Halloween night. I was waiting for my girlfriend to get off work. I spent about 4 hours at Madame Marie's bar in off Broadway, and they were playing Weapons on the TV at the bar.
Damn.
And so I was just sitting there. I think I got like 2 beers, and I sat there for literally the entire runtime of Weapons, watching it with subtitles on. Ate some popcorn.
Sick.
I was like, this is a great third place. I made friends with some of the other patrons there that liked my Kermit the Frog costume. Like, it was a great day. Your local dive bar is the third place.
That's true.
Yeah. One thing that I think can't be said enough about that romanticization of New York in the 90s specifically, Nora Ephron, one of the most influential female directors of all time.
Yeah.
When Harry Met Sally, You've Got Mail, Sleepless in Seattle, like this fits right in with those movies from a writing standpoint. It's just a little weaker.
It's so fascinating, right? Because with the Hallmark movies, like, this genre doesn't really exist anymore in mainstream theater movies. This is still better than your typical Hallmark movie, right? I'm not crazy in that retrospect, right?
Well, it's better in terms
actors.
of better actors. It's a big movie. I mean, like,
Yeah.
a rom-com set in New York, shot on location, is gonna be better than a Hallmark movie where they shoot it in Toronto in 2 buildings.
Yeah, I was thinking about Tom Hanks in this movie a lot. This is post Forrest Gump. Tom Hanks, like, he could do anything. And the fact that, he did this, and he also did Sleepless in Seattle, I just feel like an actor of Tom Hanks' caliber would not be doing that anymore now. Like, Timothée Chalamet is not doing a You've Got Mail. It's interesting how the tides have turned on what a main actor is, because Tom Hanks, even at this time in 1998, is arguably the hottest actor in the world. And
if they made a Timothée Chalamet rom-com set in New York, it would be called You've Got Chlamydia.
Yeah, well, his NYU days based on a true story. Even Meg Ryan, I mean, this is post Top Gun and post, like, Meg Ryan's at her highest too, probably around this time. I talk about movie hair a lot. Great movie hair. She's got that, like, Princess Diana haircut. She looks great in this. Tom Hanks kind of looks weird in this movie, I thought, the whole time.
Is this movie better with, like, Billy Crystal in it again?
I think Billy Crystal would come off way more likable, even if it's
way more
the same
charming
script.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. Tom Hanks just really creeps me out in this movie. There's just something it's just, maybe it is that he's too good of an actor for the material that he's given.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like he's coming from a place of, like, love in any of these, like, movements to try to win her over toward the end. It feels like a stalker kind of creepy guy performance.
The one scene they never touch on is his father's girlfriend, I think, trying to sleep with him. And it's never touched on again.
No, it's a weird subplot that they add into this. He's got, like, a stepmom, and, like, I guess that's, like, the one redeeming scene with the dad is he's talking about, like, you know me, I'm falling in love again, and it's gonna be very expensive. It's probably gonna come out of your inheritance. Like,
Yeah.
he's talking about the fact that he's gonna marry some young tail and then get a divorce in 3 years, and I don't know. I like that
that's when I thought he was going to take his inheritance and rebuy the store. Like, the ending's right. Like, that would fix the third act for me. Like, just buy the store.
I don't understand why he's still dedicated to his dad's bookstore. Like,
Yeah.
throughout the entire movie. He never, like, turns on it.
How come he doesn't have a place to live? Multi-millionaire, he gets kicked out of his apartment. He has to resort to the boat? Like, there's no other
You've
place?
got a boat. You're paying to dock it. I think
Yeah,
it's just
true.
him being cheap.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to wait for my dad's divorce to happen again so that way I can figure out where I want to live.
Definitely not my favorite boat scene in a rom-com. It's still Kevin James choking out Will Smith on the boat at the end of Hitch.
Yeah, wait, this movie is just not just a worse version of Hitch.
Oh, yeah, it's the better... Hitch is the better rom-com. It's the better New York movie.
I do like the ensemble cast of this. Like, all the bookstore people at the shop around the corner are all, like, cute. I like that there's this effort and this, like, the community is, like, trying to protest the shutting down of their store, and it's, like, there seems to be this small neighborhood kind of movement to keep it alive. Like, all of that feels really realistic.
Yeah.
It's just, like, it's so weird to me that the movie makes the decision to still close her shop. Especially since, like, a lot of the emotion of this movie, while it is a little cheesy in the way it's handled, is like, well, it used to be her mom's bookstore, and she grew up there and has been running this business since her mom passed, and they have the flashbacks where they're dancing and all that, and it's like...
I guess you could argue that Kathleen never had her own life. She was just becoming her mother again, so now she's free, even though it doesn't feel like it. And they kind of touch on that, but it still feels like it's the number one thing she cares about. It's like you mentioned, it's the thing she protested for. She got the community together. That does need to end so her and Joe could develop a friendship, because now the business is over, and they say that in the movie where it's just business and now the business is over. It just feels like that Joe's points were way more the right thing, quote unquote, than Kathleen's. There was no compromise. It felt like just Kathleen was way too submissive by the end of the movie. And in the beginning of this movie, it's this strong female character with her own business, and by the end, she's getting together with the Nepo baby. It just irked me the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, I think the vibes of this movie are what people go back to it for. Like, dude,
Yeah.
This movie has, like, a grip around women our mom's age, like
And
no other.
The first half, I totally get it. Like, it's cozy, it's got that 90s nostalgia. Like, I could see why, older women predominantly really like this movie, and I could see why they revisit it too. It's one of those movies where a friend and I always talk about this, where you just kind of want to turn it off after a certain point and be like, all right.
Maybe that's why it's a good one to watch when you're, like, home from work sick, is because, like,
Yeah.
if you take a nap halfway through, like, you're fine. You know how it ends. Hopefully you're sleeping through the last few scenes.
I think it's actually a great date movie, because I think it's a test for your date. If your date could be really into the first half, and then if they make fun of the second half with you, they're a keeper. But if they're still into it and they like the ending, kind of a red flag.
After the breakup scenes with Parker Posey and Greg Kinnear, if they're still on the side of these main characters, then you're like, all right, this ain't gonna work.
What'd you give it on Letterboxd?
Dude, I think this movie's at a 2 stars for me. I think it has some good stuff in it. I do genuinely like the movie, but if you think about it for half a minute, it's very twisted and very bleak and very capitalist, and I just really can't, like, endorse this movie. 2 stars and a like.
I gave it 2 stars as well. It's a movie I wouldn't mind revisiting with, family or even a date. Like I said, I think it could be a fun, like, 4th or 5th date movie if you're trying to figure out your partner, like, what they're actually looking for. Yeah, because you could totally make fun of it at the end. You can have fun all the way through, even though it's not the greatest movie in the world either. It's one of those rare 2 stars, might even recommend kind of movie.
You've got mail. We talked about it on the show. It's not just all horror movies, okay? We started this in October. We're watching chick flicks now.
It's got that fall vibes, and speaking of fall vibes, we have The Ultimate. November movie next week, where we're going to review Planes, Trains, and Automobiles alongside the new John Candy documentary, perfect double feature. Definitely not as weird as this one. Both big Candy fans, and it's gonna be a weird discussion. Probably the documentary's probably gonna be a tearjerker, but I'm excited to watch it regardless.
Yeah, me too. I think it's a great time of year to get comfortable with John Candy and Steve Martin in one of the funniest road trip movies of the 80s.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. I do have a recommendation for you.
Yes.
In 2 weeks, this is part of our movie book club series where Ace and I take turns recommending movies. So obviously this week's was You've Got Mail, and in 2 weeks, you got plenty of time to find this one online. I believe it's streaming on Hulu. It stars Patrick Swayze. It stars Wesley Snipes, and it stars John Leguizamo. We are watching Tu Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar.
I love it.
Do you know anything about this movie?
I don't. I've heard of the movie, but I'm excited. This is like 90s months. I think that's another 90s movie, right?
1995, yeah.
Yeah. Sick. No, I'm excited to watch that. I will never turn down a Swayze pick.
This might be my favorite Swayze pick, and that's saying a lot.
Hell yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, 2 weeks of really fun content coming your way here on At the Movies with Ace and Martin. We'll see you guys in the next podcast. No outro in November either.
No outro November.